Today on Mr. Media, I'll talk to actor Scott Krinsky, who plays Jeff Barnes on the NBC romantic spy comedy Chuck, which airs Fridays at 8 p.m. Stick around. So much media, so little time. Who keeps track of it all? That would be me. This is Bob Andelman, and this is a Mr. Media interview. You know, MrMedia.com, MRmedia.com. Stop by and check it out. There are more than 900 archived celebrity and pop culture interviews for your listening pleasure. Mr. Media is recorded live before a studio audience of carbon monoxide-fueled psychopaths who probably won't go on living after the last new episode of Chuck airs in the new media capital of the world, St. Petersburg, Florida.
Ever since I got my brain clean, I've had a suspicion that something's happening behind the scenes here.
Wait a minute. Is that?
Bingo. John Casey wearing a deep V-neck cashmere sweater.
Who are you, John Casey?
And what's he doing sneaking around the buy more hours before his shift starts?
Maybe he's here to meet somebody.
Those two. Of course they're in on it.
You know what? They're probably just doing it in the home theater room like I do.
Not likely. I'm gonna need some 3x5 cards. Stat.
Okay.
Stat!
If you don't think most TV shows are very good at character development and growth these days, I'd encourage you to take a look at NBC's Chuck as it winds down its 5-year run with 2 final episodes tonight, Friday, January 13th at 8 p.m., and next week, January 20th. For a show that's lived under threat of cancellation almost from day one, Chuck has nonetheless evolved its overall storyline and the lives of each of its players. Chuck Bartowski, for example, is no longer an accidental spy with a supercomputer in his brain. He's the real thing, doing the job without high-tech enhancements. And what about second banana Jeff Barnes? Well, after years of being drug-addled, sex-crazed, and, well, just plain creepy, we learned that his best friend Lester Patel made him this way by pumping carbon monoxide fumes into his van. Turns out Jeff is a somewhat regular guy with pretty good powers of deduction. Last week, for example, after 5 years, he put together a series of clues and deduced there was a spy ring operating beneath the Buy-More. Imagine that. Now, my suspicion is that restoring Jeff to some sense of normality was the show's producers handing actor Scott Krinsky a parting gift. They had to know it might be tough for him landing future roles with such a convincing portrayal of a loser, and, I believe, gave his character back some semblance of, well, normality, to let future casting directors see Krinsky in a more employable light. But rather than guess, I'll ask him. Scott Krinsky, welcome back to Mr. Media.
Hello.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm good. It's good to have you back, Scott. Am I right about the reason for Jeff's sudden change?
Oh, it's all about getting me future jobs?
Well, yeah, it seemed reasonable.
Well, first of all, Lester wasn't poisoning me all these years. He just tried to poison me. He tried to poison me back this season.
Oh, I thought
me to
I guess I misunderstood. I thought it had been going on for a while.
Yeah, but I was sleeping in my van, but I had the van turned on. I was purposely sleeping in my van with the van turned on, but it wasn't Lester.
Oh.
You know, trying to poison me he tried to poison me back in that episode because he wanted the old Jeff back.
Oh, okay. Well, see, I stand corrected. I guess I haven't been watching as closely as I thought I had been.
So in that specific episode, he tried to poison me back.
Right, well,
with the fumes, he was running the fumes into the break room.
I'll be hearing from a lot of Subway eaters about getting that wrong. Okay, now what about the change in Jeff's character, though?
Yeah, that was all to get me future jobs. Yeah. No, that was great, though. I mean, you know, it's always, you know, it was definitely just like you said. It was nice to after all these years of sort of playing Jeff one way, it was nice to see that he was going to have a little bit of growth and maturity. You know, I mean, he's sort of, you know, been at the Buy-More for 20 years, and it was nice to feel like there's some potential for him to turn his life around.
Well, I was thinking about, we spoke, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, the first time you were on Mr. Media, and at greater length. And I remember thinking, my expectation, because you played Jeff so convincingly, was that you had to be somewhat like Jeff, and you were nothing like Jeff, not at all what I expected. And so when I was thinking about talking to you today, I thought, these guys know you as a real person, whereas the audience knows you as Jeff. And I thought, maybe they're just, giving him a parting gift here.
I mean, I think, I don't know that it was so much as a parting gift. I think it, I think it worked for the story, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But I will take it as a parting gift as well.
Were you at
it
all?
Was definitely a what?
Well, I'm sorry. Were you at all concerned about being able to get work after playing Jeff?
No, not at all. I mean, I think, it's just, I mean, if I have to go meet people for meetings or talk about roles or audition, I know what I can do, and I know that the character of Jeff is not, that's not all of my, talent and who I am. So I didn't ever even thought about it that way at all, because you're always going in out here trying to, prove yourself and show people what you can do. And I have, I've done other things. And so I never really thought about that.
When you were cast as Jeff, were you surprised that a casting director looked at you as, and thought, oh yeah, he could play this guy?
Well, I don't know if you know the whole story, but I worked with Josh Schwartz on the OC. I was on the final season of the OC. I played a homeless guy, Daryl.
Oh.
And I was supposed to be in just one episode, a Thanksgiving episode, where the Coens, Seth Cohen, Adam Brody brings me back to his house for Thanksgiving from a homeless shelter. And that turned into 5 episodes. And then I got offered the part of Jeff by Josh Schwartz.
I did not know that. That explains a lot. And
it was the same casting director as well, that had cast the OC that was working on Chuck.
Well, that makes good sense.
So I always sort of looked at Jeff was a progression of somewhat of this homeless guy. It's like he kind of got his act together and got a job and became Jeff.
Now I saw Levi's video from the final day of shooting. That was about a month ago, I think. Was that tough? What do you take away from the final day of shooting on Chuck?
It's kind of, I hate to say that it's sort of surreal. I mean, for me, it was the first time I had worked on a show from the first episode to the last. And it's weird because you're sitting there, you're talking about it being the final day, but it still feels like you're at another day of work. So it doesn't really it doesn't really sink in on that final day. I think it's sinking in more now after the holidays. Because this is the time where we would be going back to work. So it's weird, but it was weird, and you think about, okay, wow, this is the last day, and it's like all of a sudden we were hanging out, and a lot of us, and we were just like memories of things were coming to us that we hadn't really talked about the whole time on the run of the show.
Who surprised you by being the most emotional that day, if anyone?
I think Yvonne.
Really?
Yvonne was, she was getting teary a lot, crying a lot. Yeah.
Did you grab any souvenirs from the set? Did you drive home Jeff's van, for example?
I wish. I could go sleep in it. I did. I took a sign from the Buy More. I took a Buy More employees only sign, that was hanging out. It was like a sign on a door. So, yeah.
All right. Well,
Took my costume. I took my wardrobe.
did you really?
My nerd herder outfit. Yeah, I mean they obviously have copies, more than one nerd herder outfit. So
That's great.
and I don't know why it's just sitting in my closet. So
Well, we're about to run out of time, so folks, I got to let you know you can see actor Scott Krinsky for the next 2 Friday nights at 8 p.m. in the final episodes of the wonderfully wacky NBC comedy series Chuck. If you've been listening to this show for a while, we've had a lot of the stars of the show on. We love that show in our house. And Scott, thanks so much for coming back and joining us on Mr. Media. And, whoever you play in the future, you'll always be welcome back here.
great. Thank you, Bob.
All right, good luck. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. For more original interviews, surf over to our main website, mrmedia.com, mrmedia.com. If you've enjoyed today's show, subscribe for free to Mr. Media via email, RSS, or iTunes, and you'll never miss a show. Another good idea? Download our new free Mr. Media mobile app in the Android market. You can also listen with a piece of string and a tin can in many parts of the Internet. Show your support of Mr. Media by supporting our sponsors, including Audible. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/radio. Again, that's audibletrial.com/radio for your free audiobook. We're also supported by thepartyauthority.us. Call DJ Ira for all your party entertainment needs nationwide at 1-800-DIAL-DJs or visit their website, thepartyauthority.us. If you've got an idea for a guest, a comment on today's show, or would like to advertise on Mr. Media Radio, email me directly at bob@mrmedia.com, mrmedia.com. You can also call our 24-hour listener line at 1-727-498-4711. Some messages may be used in an upcoming show. And unless you live next door to Mr. Media, there may be a toll charge. You can also follow Mr. Media on Facebook, Twitter, or our new YouTube and Vimeo video channels. Thanks so much for joining us today. I always appreciate you sharing a piece of your day with Mr. Media. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
Hey, this is Larry Comet, the Soup Nazi from Seinfeld, and I just want to say, no soup for you, Mr. Media!
Hey everybody, this is Bob Andelman from Mr. Media. First of all, I want to thank you for years of support listening to the show. We're starting our 6th year, it's hard to believe, our 6th year as 2012 starts, and heading towards our 1,000th online podcast, audio and video. It's pretty amazing, frankly. I remember starting it several years ago thinking this will never last. And podcasts, that's as stupid a word as blogging. But here we are, starting our 6th year and heading up to 1,000 interviews. And I want to thank everybody for listening and supporting the show. I also want to tell you that one of the things that's been very helpful for this show is Stitcher Radio. Yes, this is sort of a commercial. Now, there are millions of smartphone apps in the world, but I only use one several times a day, Stitcher Radio. I build my own radio station to listen to broadcast and online shows when I want and in the order I want. CNN News Update, Onion Radio News, WTF with Mark Maron, MSNBC's Morning Joe, Studio 60, the TechCrunch headlines, and of course, Mr. Media. It's free. It works on iPhone, Android, BlackBerry, Palm Pre, and much more. And you can get it for free for yourself. Try it out. I guarantee you're going to love it. Stitcher.com/MRmedia. That's Stitcher.com/Mr. Media. You're going to love it. And thanks again for supporting the show.